الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. As always, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I find each one of you in good health, wealth, and iman. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that any one of us that has any worries, concerns, sadness, that He removes them. And whatever we are in need of from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He gives it to us, inshallah ta'ala. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Secondly, I think it was either this morning or last night, in the Haram in Makkah, a crane was broken and it fell on to the Hujjaj there. And I think about 65 people either got injured or have lost their lives. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts these people in the highest level of paradise. And whatever their griefs and sorrows are, that He removes them. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Everything that we do, it affects us. It affects us either in a good way or it affects us in a bad way. For instance, when we do something good, it affects our minds, it affects our ruh, it affects our souls, and most importantly, it affects our hearts. You know, when we pray salah, we feel that peace, that sakina in our hearts. When we recite the Quran, we feel that same peace and sakina in our hearts. When we do something good, something that's beneficial, we feel it. We feel it in our bodies. But most importantly, we feel it in our hearts. On that same token, when we do something bad, when we do something wrong, something that a Muslim shouldn't do, he feels it. He feels it in his mind, he feels it in his body, in his ruh, in his soul, and most importantly, he feels it in his heart. You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when a person commits a sin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts a black spot on that person's heart. No, some of you are probably thinking, does that really happen physically? If we were to open somebody's heart, someone who commits a sin, and if we were to open their heart, would we see a black spot? No, this is in the spiritual sense. And when a person commits a sin and that black spot is put on their heart, and if that person doesn't ask for forgiveness, and he continues to do wrong, he continues to do something bad, these black spots surround this heart, and this heart gets engulfed in the darkness. You know, you're probably thinking, why is Brother Junaid keep on emphasizing about the heart? What's the big deal about it? You know, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He doesn't look at how we look like, if we're good looking or not, if we're 5'8" or 6 foot, if we're very beautiful, or if we're ugly, if we're white, or if we're black, if we're rich, or if we're poor. He doesn't look at that. He looks at your hearts, and He looks at your actions. And there's a lot of symptoms, there's a lot of diseases of the heart. For instance, jealousy, anger, arrogance. But the one that is the most crucial one, the one that we should be cautious of, is the hardness of the heart. Qaswatul qalb. The hardness of the heart. Malik bin Dinar, rahmatullah alayhi, he said that one of the worst punishments from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that a person's heart, it becomes hard. So this is something that we should be cautious of, something that we should be aware of. Now that this is something that we should be aware of, we should know what the symptoms are. So we can sort of diagnose if we are in those people who have these symptoms. So the first symptom is that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands you to do, you don't care about it. For instance, we know the importance of praying salah. But this person who has a hard heart, it doesn't bother him if he prays or if he doesn't pray. We know the importance of reciting the Quran, but with someone who has a hard heart, it doesn't bother him if he recites the Quran or if he doesn't. There's this saying, when you do something wrong, right away you feel it in your heart, there's this level of guilt. There's this guilt. But when you continue to do something wrong, that guilt goes away. And then you get to a point where you stop caring. You stop caring. And then you hear people saying, I don't care. Whatever. Who cares? Or we say, you can't judge me. Only Allah can judge me. It's true, Allah can only judge you. But you have to be cautious. Because whatever you do, every action that you have, it has a reaction. So these are some of the symptoms, is that we stop caring about the huquq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what is expected of us of being a Muslim. Then you're probably thinking, Brother Junaid, then how does one's heart become hard? How does one get to that point? What are the reasons why a person's heart becomes hard? And it always begins with this and it always ends with this. When we don't make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's going to end up that our hearts become hard. The companions, whenever they wanted to renew their iman, they used to meet each other. One companion would say, La ilaha illallah. The other would listen, and after he would repeat it, the other person would say it again. Because when we make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it makes our hearts alive. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, the difference between a living person and a dead person is the one who remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we think, what's the big deal? If I say it or not, it makes the biggest deal. What we say, what we hear, what we see, it all plays an effect on our hearts. It goes back to our hearts. So we should increase the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are one of the causes as to why our hearts get hardened. The second reason is that we don't live up to the expectations of a Muslim. It's funny. We all know on the day of Qiyamah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first thing that He's going to ask of us is that do we pray our salah? And realistically, that is the last thing we think about. Think about that. It's the first thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to ask us on the day of Qiyamah. And when we're in this world, that's the last thing we think about. When we don't have this connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we're not particular about fasting, when we're not particular about our ikhlaq, our good mannerisms with our fellow Muslims, our fellow human beings, our relatives, our parents, it all plays an effect on our hearts. Third, one of the third reasons why our hearts get hardened is because we follow all of our desires. One of the main reasons we fast in the month of Ramadan is that we take a break from all the things that are halal to us so we can create this discipline. We live in a generation, especially amongst, not even the youth, but everyone. We have TVs on our phones. It's a Netflix generation. We can watch 50 shows at one sitting. And we can brag about it. I completed one whole season of this show and that show, and 10 hours have gone. Or, a few weeks ago, I lost my phone. My smartphone here. And my wife, she was happy. She's like, Junaid, I'm glad you lost your phone. Now you can have a decent conversation with me. Because I'm so engulfed in texting and what's going on, and I'm so engaged in all of these things that it's kind of made me into a robot. And she was happy. She's like, you know what? I'm happy that you lost your phone. Now we can have an actual civil conversation. Think about it. I see these posters that have a lot of hikmah behind them. They showed 50 years ago how a family used to live. They used to sit on a table, and they would have dinner together, and they would communicate. Now they show this picture. Either the father's with the tablet, the kids are watching TV, some are on the iPhone, and there's no conversation. Everyone has become a zombie. And I see this. I teach kids. During break time, none of them talks to each other. They all have their cell phone out and they're all living in their own worlds. They're completely disconnected. We're completely disconnected. And in order for us to be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to disconnect from all of these things. We have to disconnect, and this doesn't mean that, we don't entertain ourselves. No, it doesn't mean that. But if our only purpose of life is entertainment, then there's an issue. If our only purpose of life is that, extravagant meal that I'm going to have, then there's an issue. We have 50 pairs of clothes. How do I get my 51st one? We have about 100 shoes, in our closet. We barely wear none of them, but I need to get 101. It all plays an effect on us. When we want more and more and more, we become disconnected. True freedom is that we control our desires. That these desires don't overtake us. They don't overtake us. So then what's the cure? What's the antidote? So obviously the things that I told you that we don't do, those are the things that we should be doing. First and foremost. Someone came and asked Hassan al-Basri, rahmatullah alayh, I have a hard heart, what should I do? He said, make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Musa alayhi salam, we know this. He's known as Kalimullah. He's known as Kalimullah. He would literally have conversations with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in one of his conversations, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 2 questions. He asked him, Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do you have a home? And the second question he asked him, as human beings, we have a beginning and we have an end. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, do you have an end? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded to him. He responded to him, the second question was, do you have an end? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, La zaman. I don't have a beginning and nor do I have an end. Those rules don't apply to me. And then the second question, Musa alayhi salam asked him, do you have a home? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded, said, La makan, I don't have a home. But when my insan remembers me, I live in their hearts. Subhanallah. When my human being remembers me, I live in their hearts. When we make the zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our hearts become so clean that Allah is in our hearts. And then we feel that peace. We've put peace and happiness of the heart in the wrong things. It's not in materialistic things. It's not in the big homes. There's nothing wrong with that. And we know, we live in a very celebrity lifestyle society, especially living in Los Angeles. These are the people who are on the magazines. And those are the same people who are committing, they're killing themselves. They have these terrible addictions to drugs and alcohol. They're miserable. True satisfaction, true peace of heart is only in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Encourage your family, encourage your children to say La ilaha illallah. When you sit in the car, close the radio. Close the radio. Tupac died a long time ago. We don't need to listen to Tupac. Read La ilaha illallah. Read Subhanallah. And think about it. Don't say Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. We have to, we put everything, we put a number behind it. 100 this, 100 that, 100 that. No, Alhamdulillah. It's like, what are you doing? Are you making up your own language? Don't think about what you're saying. Alhamdulillah. All praise and gratitude is to Allah. who created me, who gave me everything, who gave me my children, who gave me my job. He gave me everything. So every time you say it, you feel it in your heart. SubhanAllah, every time you look at that sun, and you look at that beautiful sky, or that you are able to use your eyes to look at that sky and that sun, you say, SubhanAllah, all glory is to Allah. That whatever condition that you're in, bad or good, whatever worries that you're in, La ilaha illallah, Ya Allah, I don't worship anybody except you. You say these things over and over again, it plays effect on your heart. Encourage your children. Second thing is that we increase our good deeds. You know, whenever the companions, whenever they did something wrong, right away they used to do something good. Because they knew that was a way of them having a clean slate. So as we know, alhamdulillah, we all pray our farz salah and we all pray our sunnah salah, but we should also increase our nawafil, our voluntary prayer. The Prophet ﷺ said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gets closer to His human being by the optional prayers. So don't think, you know what, it's all good. I prayed my farz. No, make sure that you're consistent with your prayer. Second thing is that, and I say this to the young guys, to the older people, everyone, make sure you're around the right people. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, the religion that you have is the religion of your friendship that you have with people. Or we say nowadays, you're known by the people that you hang out with. You know, I tell this story to a lot of my students. I had a very good friend in college. He was a very pious guy, and he is now, but there was a phase in his life that he went through a lot of trouble. And you know, before he went to college, he was very particular about his salah. Matter of fact, he used to call us all during Fajr and say, hey, come to the masjid. This is how kind of a person he was. He goes to college, he gets the wrong roommates, and he's around these people constantly. These roommates were Muslims. And these guys were in the wrong thing. They were into drinking alcohol, smoking weed, etc. And he used to tell them, he used to give them dawah. But sooner or later, because he was in that environment, you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. He had a bad day one time, and they offered him a glass of alcohol, and that's all it took. Make sure you have the right friends, be in the right situation. Go to the masjid. MashaAllah, ISWV has these amazing programs. Go to the masjid. Stay connected to the masjid. Be around those people. And you probably think, man, all the dorks hang out the masjid. Then you be the cool guy. Step up, man. Change the game. Make it cool. Come up with the new ideas. No one's going to stop you. Find different ways to have the youth come to the masjid. Lastly, and this was the whole point of this khutbah. Once a companion came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said to the Prophet of Allah, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I find my heart to be hard. What should I do? What's the cure? The Prophet ﷺ said, there's one way you can make your heart soft. And he said, go feed the poor and wipe your hand over an orphan child. And it'll make your heart soft. You know, a lot of people come to me because they see me giving khutbahs, and I'm a hafiz and I teach Quran, and they come and say, and what should I do? And honestly, wallahi, sometimes I feel my own heart is hard. Like right before Ramadan, I feel like I'm barely making it to the end of the line, and then Ramadan is there and it gives you that boost. And then a few weeks ago, I was being so ungrateful. And I was going on my Facebook feed and I was seeing these pictures from my family members, pictures from myself, and we're adding to our picture list and we're showing people, I got this and I have this and I got married, I bought these new shoes, I got these new rims on my car. And then I see this picture of a boy whose face is planted on the beach in Turkey, and it just broke my heart. And first I just wanted to scroll over it because I didn't want to get sad. I didn't want it to ruin my day. And it doesn't matter if that young boy is Muslim or not. That's somebody's son. And I felt at that moment, wallahi, my heart is so hard. That, we're living amazing lives. Wallahi, it doesn't matter if you're living in the hood, if you live in an apartment building, if you live in a 2-bedroom house, we are all living amazing lives. If we can turn the faucet and cold water comes out, and we turn the other faucet and hot water is coming out, we are living amazing lives. If we can dream about our children's future, we're all living amazing lives. What makes a man, a father, put his children on a boat? Not a regular boat, those boats that you use at a swimming pool so that they can swim the ocean. He must have been at such extreme situations that he would have to put his child in that situation. Us Muslims, we have to be aware as to what's going on in the world. Because we are the people who give before we take. Our brothers and sisters are running around through the countries of Europe, and they're getting kicked out from one country to the other. And it doesn't bother us. Matter of fact, we like posting pictures, and I included myself. I'm posting pictures of my son because he bought LeBron James shoes. I mean, how selfish is that? And here's this father in Hungary. They're kicking him out. They're not allowing him in the country. Here's this man who's holding his wife. The wife is holding their son, and he's grabbing onto them and saying that, you know what, I'm not going to leave. So 4 or 5 patrolmen, they came in and they threw him away. That could have been us. These people are not poor people. They're in an unusual situation. And they're going from one country to the other country. Embarrassed. Where journalists are tripping them over. And we're not bothered by that. We're not affected by that. That our hearts have become so hard. It's funny, alhamdulillah, 25 years ago I studied in Pakistan in a madrasa there. And I remember how the electricity would go out, and in the middle of the day the water would go out, and I would always think, and I'm living an amazing life in the United States. And I came back to this, and luxury makes you soft. You forget about that. A Muslim was unique. Whenever he saw his brother and sister going through something, he changed. Umar radiallahu anh, during his khilafat, there was this terrible famine.